Welcome back to the Simple Life podcast on Speak English with Clara and Bill. I'm Clara, and as always, I am sitting across from the man who currently looks like he just saw a ghost. Bill, how are you?
Honestly, Clara, I'm annoyed. I am deeply, spiritually annoyed.
That's a very specific type of annoyance. Do you want to share with the listeners what's going on, or should we just sit in the silence of your frustration?
No, let's talk about it, because I know I'm not the only one. Yesterday was Payday. For those of you who do not know, Payday is supposed to be a day of celebration. It's the day the numbers in the bank account go up. I had a good month. I worked overtime, I hit my targets, and I felt, for a second, like a king.
And then?
And then I looked at my bank app this morning, after the rent went out, after the electricity bill, which, by the way, is currently priced as if they're delivering power via gold-plated wires, and after the groceries, I felt poor again. I have more money than I did 5 years ago, but I feel more broke than I did when I was a student eating cold beans. It's uncomfortable to admit, isn't it?
It's incredibly uncomfortable. It feels like a failure. We're taught that if you work hard and earn X amount, you'll reach this magical land of enough. But for so many of us, the land of enough keeps moving its borders.
It's a phantom, Clara, a ghost. That's why we're talking about this today. The psychology of feeling poor, even when on paper you should be fine. It's a very human struggle, but it's one we usually hide because we're embarrassed.
Exactly. So today, we're going to break this down. We're going to look at why this happens in 3 phases. We're going to talk about how to rebrand this struggle. And I've got some actionable advice to help you stop the spiral.
And I'll be here to provide the cynical commentary and the occasional joke to keep us from crying. Let's dive in.
Let's start with phase 1, the illusion. Bill, do you remember what you thought rich was when you were 20?
Oh, absolutely. I thought if I ever made $50,000 a year, I would own a boat. I was convinced that $50K was the threshold for international man of mystery status. I'd be wearing suits, drinking expensive coffee, and never looking at the price of a menu.
And what happened when you hit that number?
The boat turned into a used hatchback, and the expensive coffee became a necessity just to survive the job that paid me the $50K. The illusion is that there's a destination. We think that wealth is a fixed point, but the reality is that our expectations are incredibly elastic.
That's a great word, elastic. When our income stretches, our needs stretch right along with it. This is the illusion of the next step. We tell ourselves, if I just get this promotion, if I just get this 10%, then the pressure will go away.
But it doesn't, because as soon as you get that 10%, you decide that you can finally afford that slightly better apartment, or you start shopping at the organic grocery store because you're a successful adult now. You've moved the goalposts before the ball even hit the net.
We see this a lot in the B2 vocabulary we use to describe success. We talk about climbing the ladder or getting ahead. Both of those imply that life is a race. And in a race, if you stop running, you feel like you're losing, even if you're already miles past the starting line.
It's exhausting, and the illusion is fed by everything around us. Every advertisement is designed to make you feel like your current life is a beta version and you need to pay for the upgrade. It makes you feel poor by comparison. You're not looking at your bank account, you're looking at your neighbor's kitchen.
This brings us to phase 2, the struggle. And Bill, I think for our generation, the struggle isn't necessarily big spending. It's the convenience tax.
Oh, do not look at me like that. I know what you're going to say.
I'm looking at your phone, Bill. How many delivery apps do you have?
Enough to have my own dedicated delivery driver who knows my dog's name. Look, I'm tired. The struggle is that our lives are so optimized for work that we have no energy left for life. So we pay a convenience tax to save time. We pay someone to bring us food, someone to wash our car, someone to pick up our groceries.
And that's where the feeling poor comes from. You earn $30 an hour, but you spend $25 on a delivered burger because you're too exhausted to cook. Mathematically, you're only keeping $5 of that hour. When you realize that, it's demoralizing.
It's a trap. You work more to earn more, which makes you more tired, which makes you spend more on convenience, which means you need to work more to pay for the convenience. It's a circle, Clara. A very expensive, very salty fast food circle.
And the struggle is also psychological. We feel out of our depth because we weren't really taught how to manage the emotions of money. We were taught math, but we weren't taught how to handle the anxiety of a digital number. When you can't see the physical cash leaving your hand, it doesn't feel real until the end of the month when the app turns red.
It's true. It's much easier to tap a credit card than hand over a $20 bill. One feels like magic, the other feels like a loss.
Now we have to look at the reality. This is the part that is a bit cynical, so I'll let you lead, Bill.
Joy, my favorite part. The reality is that the cost of belonging has skyrocketed. To be a normal person in society today requires a massive amount of subscription services and entry stakes.
Entry stakes, like in poker?
Exactly. To even play the game of modern life, you need a high-speed internet connection, a smartphone, at least 3 streaming services so you can talk to your coworkers about what happened on TV, and probably a gym membership you do not use. These aren't luxuries anymore. They're the price of not being an outcast.
And let's talk about the Instagram effect. The reality is that we're the first generation in history that compares our behind-the-scenes footage with everyone else's highlight reel.
That's a bit profound for a Tuesday, Clara.
But it's true. You see a friend on vacation in Italy. You do not see the credit card debt they used to get there. You just feel poor because you're sitting on your couch in your pajamas eating toast. The reality of the modern economy is that it is designed to make you feel inadequate so that you will consume more to fill the gap.
It's also the reality of inflation. We have to address the elephant in the room. Things are more expensive. Your good salary from 2019 is a struggling salary in 2026. Sometimes we feel poor because, quite simply, our money worth less. It's not always a psychological failing. Sometimes it's just bad macroeconomics.
I'm glad you said that. It's important to validate that feeling. If you feel like you're running in place, it might be because the floor is literally moving backward. Okay, let's move into something more positive. I want to talk about the shift. We need to rebrand this feeling. Bill, you often say you're bad at adulting because you can't seem to save as much as you want.
Oh, I'm the CEO of being bad at adulting. I still haven't figured out how to buy a duvet cover that fits my bed.
But what if being bad at managing this crazy, hyper-consumerist world is actually a sign that you're doing something right?
Explain. I'm listening, but I'm skeptical.
Well, think about it. If you find it hard to be perfect with your money in a system designed to take it away from you, it means you're human. It means you prioritize things like comfort, connection, and joy over just being a perfect wealth accumulation machine.
So my failure to be a millionaire by 30 is actually a badge of honor?
In a way, yes. We need to rebrand the struggle as a learning curve. Being out of your depth with finances isn't a permanent state. It's just the beginning of a new relationship with your values. When you feel poor, it's often your brain telling you that your spending isn't matching your soul.
That's an interesting shift. So instead of saying I'm broke because I'm a failure, I should say I feel poor because I'm spending money on things that do not actually make me feel rich.
Exactly. If you spend $100 on a fancy dinner, but you'd actually be happier with a $10 pizza and a walk in the park with a friend, that $90 difference isn't lost money. It's a lesson. The struggle is just data. It's telling you where to pivot.
All right, Clara, you've convinced me to stop crying into my bank app. Now, how do we actually fix the phantom wallet?
I have 2 main tips for everyone listening, and Bill, I want you to try these this week. First, you need to narrow down your non-negotiables.
Narrow down. Okay, I know that one. It means to reduce a list of many things to just a few important ones.
Exactly. We try to be rich in every category. We want the best clothes, the best tech, the best food, and the best travel. You can't do it all. You have to narrow down your focus. Pick two things that actually make you feel wealthy. For me, it's high-quality coffee and fresh flowers in my house. I don't care about having a new car or the latest iPhone. Because I've narrowed it down, I don't feel poor when I see someone with a new Tesla. I just think that's not on my list.
I like that. I think mine would be good shoes and high-speed internet. I can live in a box as long as my gaming lag is 0.
Perfect. Once you narrow it down, the noise from the rest of the world gets quieter. Second tip, you have to stay with the process.
That sounds like one of those fitness slogans that people scream at you while you're doing burpees.
It's similar. Staying with the process means not giving up when you have a bad week. Most people try to budget for 4 days, they accidentally buy an expensive pair of sunglasses, and then they say, well, I ruined it, I'm just bad with money, and they stop.
Guilty as charged.
You have to stay with the process. Financial health isn't a one-and-done event. It's a practice. If you overspend on Tuesday, you do not quit. You just start again on Wednesday. You stay with the process of tracking, observing, and adjusting. It's about the long game, not the perfect week.
Stay with the process. I'll try to remember that next time I'm tempted by a late-night taco run.
Before we wrap up, let's look at some of the language we use today. This is our vocabulary spotlight for all our learners out there. We had some great B2 level expressions.
First up, we mentioned that a plan can backfire. Clara, you almost use this when talking about my delivery apps.
That's right. To backfire is when an action has the opposite effect of what you intended. For example, I started working a second job to save money, but it backfired because I was so stressed that I spent all the extra money on expensive therapy and junk food.
Too real, Clara, too real. Next, we have to keep at it.
This is a great one for encouragement. To keep at it means to continue doing something difficult even when you want to stop. Saving money is hard when prices are rising, but if you keep at it, you'll eventually see your emergency fund grow.
And finally, a phrase I use to describe my general state of existence, to be out of one's depth.
To be out of your depth means to be in a situation that is too difficult for you to handle, or where you lack the necessary knowledge. When the accountant started talking about tax-deductible interest rates, I realized I was completely out of my depth.
It's like being in the ocean and realizing you can't touch the bottom. But the good news is, you can learn to swim.
Exactly. You aren't stuck. You're just learning.
Well, I feel slightly better. My bank account hasn't changed in the last hour, but my brain has.
That's the goal, Bill. Money is a tool, but it shouldn't be the master of your emotions. Remember, everyone, narrow down your values, stay with the process, and do not let the phantom win.
And if you do buy a late-night taco, just make sure it's a really good one.
Thank you for listening to the Simple Life podcast on Speak English with Clara and Bill. We'll be back next week to talk about why we all have a drawer in our kitchen full of old cables that we refuse to throw away.
Ugh, that's gonna be a long episode. Make sure to subscribe so you do not miss it.
Until then, take care of your heart.
And bye!
Out.